So whenever that was going down, I was with Adam at dinner after the event. We're drinking some cervezas, having a good time, enjoying the win, all of that. And we've been talking about this all week.
Hi, how are you, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FloGrappling show. The worst show on the internet returns here just for you guys.
All right,
coming at you.
Cut the music, dude. You thought I was going to let Reed open the show?
Wait.
You guys got another thing coming, all right? Fala comigo, bem-vindo aí para o show da internet. This is the worst show on the internet. You guys already know that. I'm calling in live from Brazil. The boys are back in Austin. We got Big Reed, Joe, Slack, all of them. And if you guys ever think for the slightest second I would let Reed open the show like that, then you got another thing coming, dude. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. I'm opening the show. I'm setting the tone, and I'm laying it down, all right? So how's everybody doing back in Austin?
Good, man. We got Joey Gilps over here, as always. We got Slack on the ones and twos. Trey calling in from Brazil. We're doing good, man. We're doing good out here. How's the weather in Brazil?
It's not too bad. It's a little chilly at times, but then the sun will peek through and, it'll warm up. But it's like hoodie weather in the evening, which is nice. But yeah, it's all good in Brazil. I got a little bit of a case of the sniffles. I've been sitting on the plane. I had a 9-hour flight to Brazil, and on the plane, the guy right next to me was coughing the whole time. And so I was worried I would get sick right when I got to Brazil. But I went straight to the Brazilian pharmacy. And one of the best things about Brazil is if you go to the pharmacy and ask for anything, dude, anything in the world, they will give it to you. And so I just started taking all of the stuff. I've been on all kinds of freaking shit you guys never even heard of in the US. So that kept me through. But then at this the stupid situation I was in at the event was I was sitting next to another guy who was coughing the whole time. And so it finally got me. And now I'm a little sick.
All right. Well, Trey's been down in Brazil holding down Brasileiros, checking that out, BJJ Stars as well. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do here is break down a little bit what's been going on here in the last week on FloGrappling. Crazy tournament, big tournament out there. Trey, obviously you've been on the ground all week down there. Kind of what are the biggest storylines? What are the biggest things we need to break down here?
Yeah, so just like overall, Brasileiros to me is one of the most hyped events all year. It's like the Brazilian crowd comes out in a way that I don't think a lot of other events do. Like we were kind of talking before this, and there was obviously a huge upset moment where Tayane Porfirio was able to get the win over Gabby. And Gabby had just submitted her at BJJ Stars the week before, so obviously that was crazy. But man, the crowd reaction to that, the only comparable situation I've been in where a crowd reacts that loudly was whenever Haysam submitted Cyborg at ADCC. And obviously that had like 15,000 people there. There weren't 15,000 people in this arena, but it was packed during the black belt finals and everything, and just the amount of energy, all of those Brazilian fans, it literally compared to 15,000 people erupting. And so it's just an electric environment to be in. Obviously it's rootsy too. That's like one thing you get at the Brazilian events, it's not all polished. Every now and then the power cuts out in the venue, or, some stuff is happening. Kids are selling you brigadeiros or something like that. So it's just like a cool place to be. And I really think obviously we're lucky, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity I have with Flo to travel and go to all these events and be like mat side for some of these incredible moments. But man, if you're doing jiu-jitsu and you're an American, start saving up and plan that trip to Brazil. Try to come to something like Brasileiros and go train at some of these gyms and experience that environment, compete as well. That's one of the coolest parts. You could come and compete at Brasileiros. And so overall, I thought it was sick being there. What did you guys think watching it and everything from home?
Yeah, let's pull up that Tayane Gabby match real quick. And Joe, maybe you could set us up. What did you think?
Yeah, sure. If we're just talking about the Gabby and Tayane match, obviously that was like the headline coming out. Gabby had won nearly 200 matches in a row, and then she comes through and she hadn't just tapped out Tayani the week before at BJJ Stars. She had tapped her out twice in the last week, right? Because she tapped her out in the absolute bracket the day before in a very similar way. And man, Tayani did the damn thing. She ends up winning 4-0. We've said that Tayani's one of those few women who you feel like even has a chance against Gabby, but she would have to fight the perfect fight. And she really did. She looked awesome the entire bracket long, advancing there, and then using her pressure, using her takedowns, using a really, really smart game plan to be able to get over on Gabby Pisania, something which nobody was predicting. Nobody thought was going to happen.
Yeah,
especially from somebody who was like kind of a little older. Mm-hmm. Thought maybe it would be like one of these new generation people would be the one to come up and do it. But for Tayani, man, what a journey to be on top, get knocked off from top, be out for so long, and still come back and get it done. Incredible. Yeah,
and obviously Gabby's so young in the game, to be honest. She's only a couple years into her black belt.
She's like 24.
24, so it's like, it's crazy to see just how dominant she's become in such a short period of time, where like that this Tayani match was just such an upset. She's so young, but she's so dominant. And so it's like we just like really don't expect her to ever lose. So it was definitely a big surprise to see, like you said, Tayani, who we haven't seen a whole lot of in the last couple of years. She's kind of, served a suspension and was kind of in and out, hasn't really been super consistent. But obviously she had like a very clear game plan and what she wanted to do here against Gabby, because she fought her a couple times and always come up short. But this was huge. Like Trey said, like it seemed like my as I was watching it on online, of course, on the stream, it felt like my computer was just rattling from how crazy that the crowd was getting.
Especially this moment, man, when Gabby locked into this armbar, it felt like, okay, here it comes. This is the moment. This is going to be a crazy story where we talk about, Gabby having to come back and keep everything going and how close the streak was to ending. But Tayani was able to stay strong in these moments. She was able to eventually clear her arm. A lot of what Tayani does when she's passing kind of gives up triangles and arm bars, but she's so good at defending them and not getting too deep in it that she can stay safe
even at the very, very end too, where Gabby was hunting the back and everything.
Had one hook.
Yeah, had one hook.
And was down by 100%.
Trey, like you being there, did it feel like was the crowd like against Gabby, or were they just like kind of for the upset? Like what was the vibe?
Yeah, so my take on the crowd, because I was wondering that too, I was like, oh man, do they hate Gabby or what? But that was not the vibe at all, to be honest. Like Gabby had an insane amount of support through the whole tournament. Like she was always cheered, always, seen as one of the heroes of the event, if I'm being honest. I just think like the crowd realized how special of a moment this was. Like it was like undeniable that we just witnessed like an insane part of jiu-jitsu history, And I don't think any of that was coming from a like place of wanting Gabby to be the villain. Like this is another thing, like at Brasileiros, oftentimes, like, there is a villain of the event at the black belt level. Like, the Brazilian crowd will boo. Like, they love booing. I think it's something that, like, honestly, American fans can learn from. Like, it's okay to have a heel, to have a face throughout these events. In some ways, it makes it way more exciting and way more fun to, like, know, like, oh, yep, like, the best example I have is Marigali when he came to Brasileiros a couple years ago. Like, he's still loved in Brazil, no matter what people say. Like, people say the Brazilians don't like Marigali. That's not true, to be honest. Like, they're taking pictures with him. They're so excited he's there. Brazilians love whenever the top stars are back in Brazil or still in Brazil and competing in front of them. But the minute he would step on the mats, everyone would boo. Because it's just like they've deemed Marigali the heel of the event. And so it just creates this like real tense environment. There's this tension going back and forth. It wasn't so much like that with Gabby. I think it was just like almost like a show of respect for like what they just witnessed, what everyone had seen, that Tayani coming in. And also, there's a redemption arc. So people love a redemption arc. It's crazy to see a person who just got submitted by this unbeatable force twice in the same week. And now she was able to get the win. So I think everyone was just like giving it up for that, but they still like clapped and cheered for Gabby afterwards, like she paid homage to the crowd and all of that. And everyone was cheering for her as well. She came back in the absolute and won the absolute. Everyone was cheering for that. So I think it really was just a show of like, holy cow, like we're witnessing an incredible thing right now, and everybody was locked into it. Right after the match, whenever Tayani is like, it's over, and Gabby almost ends it on the back. Like it really kind of looked from some angles like, holy shit, Gabby has the hooks. Like, is she going to get the points in time? She didn't have it quite enough in time to get the points. And then everyone erupted. And there's a minute where Tayani is like on the mat and she's like on her knees, like, you know, thanking God and everything. And the whole crowd is just like, the place is vibrating with like, you're getting hit by waves of just people screaming. And then Tayani lets out like this primal scream back at them and just like is screaming and like her veins are popping and everything. And I was like, whoa, dude, this is a powerful moment right now. She's got like supercharged by all these people, and she just like gave one back to them, and it just like kind of erupted even more. So I think overall, yeah, it was just an electric moment that everyone, it seemed like, was just super happy to be a part of, you know, myself included. I kept a straight face as the true professional I am, you know, showed no bias, showed no whatever. I put on my Polish smile. I've been hanging out with the Polish crew a lot.
Show us your Polish smile. Can you show us your Polish? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Pretty big Polish smile.
Okay. Yeah, you're in there now, I guess.
Yeah, dude.
This is the face of Warsaw's silliest boy.
Yeah, no, dude. Whenever I was in some photos with the Polish guys, and I kept like, I would smile real big, like I'd be like, you know, and then I would look around, I'd be like, oh shit, wait. And I would pull a smile along with them. Yeah, but you know, that was a crazy moment for sure. It was super sick to be part of. So shout out Tayani, you know.
So, give me thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I was watching the stream, and it's really the arm bars where things went really crazy, because obviously she gets the takedown to get the 4 points, and that's where like the momentum is really like, wow, we're at 4-0. But that moment where she had her arm caught, it was pretty much like, I think it was there for long enough that you just assume, oh, okay, I guess like this is probably going to end in an armbar. And when she gets out, even from the stream, just like the eruption, it was like all the microphones peak, the announcers are screaming, everything is just like, but I remember from being there last year, it's like when that crowd lights up, there's really nothing quite like that at any, you know, major tournament, honestly. Like that stadium erupting for any reason, good or bad, whether it's a fight or whether it's, you know, whatever it is, it's really an incredible energy there.
Slack, you're such a videographer. Yeah. His review of the fight is, man, it was crazy. It peaked the microphones.
Yeah, no, I did.
I know, that sounds like a nerdy thing to say, maybe, but I just mean like it's like it overwhelmed the ability.
It's kind of breaking the equipment.
Yeah, it's like everything is like malfunctioning.
Yeah. It's also such a good, you know, just from a storyline perspective. Obviously, Gabby wanted to win that match, but just from a storyline perspective, it's so cool that happened on the way to Worlds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This Brasileiros is the last major before Worlds. The stage is kind of set now for everybody had their season heading into the World Championships. And if this match didn't happen, and if this result didn't happen, you would just kind of say, okay, Gabby, double gold, what's next?
Yeah.
It's always, you know, next topic. And now we have something.
Yeah, it's always great when like these champions face adversity, right? To be honest, I feel like we've seen Tynan kind of, you know, 100%. Coming back from the adversity that he's faced, and it made just kind of his road back and all, you know, all the matches that he's had since then that much more interesting. So, yeah.
Even going into Worlds, you know, we can talk about Tynan here in a minute, but like, yeah, I feel like if he had not had those last 2 years, you would just look at what he's done in 2025 and be like, oh yeah, lock for a world gold medal. But with those last two results at the World Championships, I don't think he is nearly as much as he would be otherwise.
Yeah.
Dude, this is my thoughts on like Gabby now. I think because there's an argument to be made where you could say like, okay, have we seen the chink in the armor? Like, have we seen like, you know, like the queen of jiu-jitsu fall? And is that like now people are going to crack the code, whatever, like figure Gabby out? I think this is my take. I think it's the opposite. I think this is where we're now going to see an even more dominant Gabby Pisagna from here on out. Like I will predict she's going to double gold at the Worlds, and we're going to see her do it in kind of like an even crazier, more dominant fashion. Because there's an element where, and I feel like we've seen this with athletes a lot, you know, that once they are a dominant champion or whatever, and then they finally face adversity, you know, a lot of people can break or they can just like rebuild and go from there. I think Gabby is so good, and up to this point, like obviously like her almost 200 match winning streak and everything, you know, it's like yeah, she has like an air of confidence all the time, and like even maybe becoming a little bit of a playboy, a playgirl, like living the good life in Cidade de Deus and like making money, just keeping winning all the time. And then it's like boom, she has this loss to Tayani, and I think she's gonna come back and be like, all right, I don't want that to be the thing people think about or associate my name with. And I feel like we're gonna see Gabby go on like an insane dominant run from here on out. Obviously, you never know. Tayani could be there at Worlds as well and have different plans, but I do feel like this is like the setup for like an even crazier, more dominant Gabby Pisani, if that's even possible. So
hell yeah. And then, just moving on, I feel like one of the other big storylines of the weekend. There we go. We got the 4-box. We got the 4-box. Good idea, Nikki.
What the hell did we tell Nikki? We told him no 4-box, and here he is throwing a 4-box. This guy's in for himself. He's playing ball for himself right now.
He's gone rogue.
Wanted to show off his 4-box capability.
No, it looks good. Oh, all right, here we go. Now we're back to the 2-box.
I was kidding. No, I like the 4-box.
The 4-box is good. But yeah, just moving on to kind of like some more of the bigger storylines of the weekend. I think one of the biggest ones was the All-American final there. Crazy. We had Cole Abate, Isaac Duerlin, 2 Americans went down to Brazil and, fought a bunch of tough Brazilians, but they made it to the final. First time ever we've had a All-American final. Pretty crazy for, Cole's been on a great run here. Great to see him go out and accomplish his dream of winning Brasileiros. I think we all know that was kind of like a big one for him, but thoughts on the All-American final here that we had. That was a pretty big deal.
It was a lot of history made at this event. First Brazilian nationals to have 2 American champions. Elizabeth Clay also taking the women's middleweight black belt, but Cole and Isaac meeting in a first ever All-American final, like you said. Absolutely crazy. We've been watching Cole Abate for so long. We saw him win a no-gi world championship last year. We saw him at Worlds last year in the gi. Come up short, lost his first round match to Leo Villela, and just wasn't looking himself after an injury, but then came out here and looked awesome. Had to play the strategy game very heavy against Duerlin and Diego Sodre, as I believe the Sodre that he faced, maybe Alex.
Yeah,
it was Alex.
Diego.
It was Diego. But man, Ice Cole gets it done in Brazil. Kind of epic to go down to Brazil for your very first gi major. Black belt gold medal.
Beat a world champion.
Incredible. He's going to be ranked in the top 5 when we update those probably tomorrow.
This is so obviously Liz became the 5th ever American, right, to win Brasileiros. Cole became the 6th ever. The 4th was Isaac. So also
the 4th was Shelby Murphy.
Champion, right?
Isaac was the 4th or the 3rd.
Oh. The 3rd, okay, yeah. So Isaac is a Brasileiros champion also, so pretty epic, But yeah, this was awesome for Cole. One thing that I really like that Cole did, because Cole speaks Portuguese, he's like, he trains with the Mendes brothers, all that stuff. Like, there is a case to be made where he could have, gotten thrown the Brazilian flag and repped the Brazil flag a little bit to pander to the crowd and everything. Cole was repping USA the whole way through, dude. The Brazilian crowd loves Cole. There's no doubt about that. They were cheering him the whole time. I wondered if Cole would end up being one of those heels, but he really wasn't. They're super down with Cole in Brazil. I think a lot of it is him speaking Portuguese and the way he fights and everything, that they really love Cole. But yeah, he talked a lot about being a kid from Texas, honestly, and now lives in California. But how growing up, it's like always a dream whenever you're a kid doing jiu-jitsu to eventually compete at Brasileiros. And then he came out in his debut, repping America. He had the American flag on the podium, all that. And like, that was cool to see. Like I was happy to see Cole, still giving homage to his roots and all that, repping America on such a big stage.
The fans weren't booing him with the American flag and everything like that. They were down.
He didn't take it out onto the mat, which might have been a smart strategic move. I don't know how they would have reacted to him, walking around the mat with the American flag. But no, they weren't booing him whenever he was on the podium or walking around like right off the mats in the bullpen with it. They were all pretty down. All the Brazilian media was interviewing him and everything. Cole was just giving perfect Portuguese interviews to all of them. So I think, Cole's a guy who can transcend nationality in that way when it comes to jiu-jitsu, So they were super down with him. But yeah, that was cool to see. The American final.
Yeah.
Maybe if he'd been facing a Brazilian, it would have been a little different.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true for sure.
Did the did the
I do think they've adopted him a little bit as an honorary Brazilian in that way. But the American final to me is a good representation of like the evolution of jiu-jitsu, and not just jiu-jitsu across the world, but jiu-jitsu in America, where it's like obviously Brazil's led the charge for Brazilian jiu-jitsu since the inception of it, and it's always dominantly Brazilians in the finals and in world champions and stuff. It's still a select group of Americans who are able to achieve like that level of accomplishment in the sport. But for there to be an all-American final, it really is a good testament to like how much the Americans are like growing, and obviously they're the second best nation for jiu-jitsu now, and some of the best jiu-jitsu in the world obviously lives in America. But to see two Americans in the Brasileiros finals, it was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, America has fully arrived on this scene. So that was sick to see. Europe's up next would be my guess. But
did you talk about any of the tariff situations with any of the Brazilians or anything like that? Did that
were we
come up?
Out trade while we were down there?
Yeah, quite a bit actually, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
It came up quite a bit.
I figured.
Everyone likes to bring up Trump whenever you're in Brazil or another country, and I got made fun of for having to have a visa quite a bit. A lot of people saying like it's about time that America had to have a visa, since it's so hard for Brazilians to get a visa and come to the U.S., which is fair. I respect that. And some of us couldn't get visas. Shout out Reed, who was supposed to be in Brazil with me. He would have been, sitting. I would have had my boy Reed right here in this
arm around him, apparently.
Brazilian. Yeah, this Brazilian WeWork co-working space I'm having to call in from right now. He'd be right here. But Reed said yes to Brazil, and Brazil said no to him. And I think that's a testament to not just, Reed, maybe as a person and his ability to fill out a visa ahead of time, but also, to Brazil's perception of FloGrappling and who really they think is, the guy they want at their events in Brazil covering them. And that's freaking Big Nasty, the Mad Hatter himself.
All right,
they said if a guy from FloGrappling's oh yeah, that's one of the classic nicknames I haven't brought out yet on the show. But when the Brazilians are like, if we need representation from America and we need a FloGrappling guy down here, you gotta send Tiago himself. A lot of Brazilians can't say Trey; they struggle with it, so I just go by Tiago sometimes. And I was glad to hold it down for him. I was out there drinking caipirinhas, pau de queijo, whatever they call sugarcane, caldo de cano, I think is what it is. And that's why I say, any Brazilians out there, if you see me in the stands, I know you. Come talk to me. Fala comigo. You know what I mean? Come say what's up to your boy. I'll say 3-4 words maybe in Portuguese, and then from there we'll just do thumbs up and shakas, and that's all you need. A little os here and there goes a long way, brother. But I think Brazil showed.
Yep, very fair. I had my visa issues. Should have been down there in Brazil. Chopping it up everybody as well, but didn't make it down there. We did have a gift that we were going to give Trey, but I think actually we're going to punt the gift to next episode, just because I'm not sure.
Damn.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, Reed, do you have any connection to what was going on in Rio? Is that why you weren't able to come? I'm just curious. I don't want to air out any dirty laundry.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. There's a potential bombing in
somebody didn't like that Lady Gaga concert. Reed, you're not much of a Lady Gaga fan. You talk about that pretty often.
Had nothing to do with it.
Name three Lady Gaga songs right now to clear your name.
Boy, this is not good.
There's like one that's like
not great.
Like I don't know. I genuinely can't name a single Lady Gaga song, but there's like one about like being yourself and like don't.
So you can read my poker face.
Poker face. There you go. There's one. No, I just want to say I had nothing to do with it. Let me just get that
on the record.
I had nothing to do with it.
That's fair. Well, we'll see what
I'd say that too if I was in your shoes. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I hope Reed didn't have anything to do with that. Because as an honorary Brasileiro, I'd have to take you out, brother.
All right. Well, I appreciate.
What else you guys got?
Well, let's keep talking about Brasileiros, some of the other big storylines.
Adam, we got.
Yeah. I think the next one to talk about is Adam, of course. Adam been having an incredible year and really capped it off here with this Brasileiro performance. Really a legendary tournament for Adam. I feel like his first time going down to Brasileiros and capturing that gold title. He fought a Gracie on home soil. Shout out to Gregor Gracie. Obviously, he didn't need to be there, but he put it on the line. So that's awesome to see Gregor out there putting it on the line and everything. But yeah, Adam's weekend, huge weekend for Adam. I know, Trey, you were hanging out with Adam out there. How stoked is he to kind of finally accomplish this Brasileiro gold, but also the IBJJF Grand Slam now, the official, he won Euros, Pans, and Brasileiros this year. And of course, last year won Worlds. So that's the 4 majors.
Yeah, he had the crown in the mix there too. So he really this year did everything you could do since 2024 Worlds on the Brazilian or the IBJJF circuit. Adam was stoked for sure, dude. The Polish smile was cracking a little bit, after he got that Brasileiros medal. He was obviously super stoked, super happy. As emotional as a Polish champion can be, I would say. Not full after he won Worlds. He kind of broke a little bit, but overall, dude, he was super stoked. Adam's a big collector. We're obviously working on a big project with Adam. This position right here, just to talk about this is Adam was doing this in training all week. I have a bunch of footage of him doing this exact same thing where he kind of butterfly sweeps into breaking them down, captures that arm, and kind of breaks their posture, and then shoots the triangle. So this was Adam. I'm not going to necessarily say he knew this match would come and he would do this, but Adam knows his game better than anyone knows their game in jiu-jitsu. That's how he just seems to always just put a pace where he sucks people into his game. And he knew that this was something he was going to be using out there on those mats, and he did. So it was cool to see that for sure.
And he's talked about
execute what he'd been practicing.
And he's talked about in the past where he doesn't get a lot of submissions from guard. He usually is kind of the guy who's sweeping, passing, mounting, and then finding a submission from there. So I know he's always pumped when he can get a submission from guard. There he gets the tap.
Definitely. Yeah, but that was obviously huge for Adam. That was his first match of the event too, so it feels good to come out and do it in that way whenever you have a big event like this. But Adam was super stoked. I have a question for you again, Reed, real quick. Did Adam happen to check in on you?
Adam texted me Sunday night and said, "Hey, what's up, Reed?"
Okay.
And then I texted him back and just said, "Hey, congrats on the gold, congrats on the year, congrats on the stuff you're doing, incredible performance," and then just said, "Is there anything?"
Nick, you take that down. We're not getting podcast money from JBL.
anything you need or anything I can help you with? And then he just said, "No, I'm just checking in on you." So
this is a bigger project.
So what's going on?
This is a bigger project. So whenever that was going down, I was with Adam at dinner after the event. We're drinking some cervejas, having a good time, enjoying the win, all of that. And we've been talking about this all week, where we want to start a series with Adam where, people can really get to know that Adam's a good guy. And he just sometimes likes to check in. And we want to make a video series called Just Checking In with Adam Wardzinski, where he texts random people in the jiu-jitsu world and just says, "Hey, what's up?" and then, or "Hey, how are you?" And then whenever they respond, no matter what, he just says, "All right, cool, was just checking in," and then doesn't respond after that. So did he respond after?
No, because then I was like, yeah, I want to come out to Vegas and once the competition has died down after Worlds a little bit and do some more stuff, check in on the gym, and he's building some stuff out there in Vegas. And then he
asked how I was doing. You're like, "How's Trey doing? Is he doing all right?"
I thought we were gonna have some back and forth, how's things going, and then it was nothing after that.
No,
so
dude,
there's no
back and forth. Yeah, there's no back and forth with just checking in with Adam Wardzinski. Nope. It's just he's checking in, sees how you're doing,
just checking in.
And he's checking in. He's not talking about how he's doing and anything. He just wants to check in with people and see, how they are. But it was awesome being there because I had to give him your WhatsApp, obviously, and then he sent it. And Adam was like, "I don't know." First, he DM'd you on Instagram, but I was like, "Reed will never see it on Instagram, so you have to message him." And so then, he's waiting on you to respond, and he's like, we're all giggling and stuff. We had the whole Polish crew giggling, just laughing about how funny this was.
Well, that's a first to ever happen. A bunch of Polish guys sitting around giggling.
They're gigglers sometimes.
Awesome. Oh, dude, no. Once you break through the Polish crew, biggest jokesters I've hung out with and stuff, dude. They love having a good time, making jokes, talking about funny stuff.
So then he just read my text message to everybody at the table.
Yeah.
You got me. You got me, Trey.
I know, it's such a good prank to like, yeah.
So simple, so effective.
Yeah, dude, no, we were sitting there and it's like you hadn't read it yet, you weren't responding, and he's just like, I don't know, man. Was this a bad idea? Is Reed gonna think this is weird? And I was
Wait,
like, well,
how long did it take me to respond?
Maybe like 10 minutes or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not a long response, but it was definitely like Adam was sitting there. This was the whole purpose of what we were doing. We were locked in, dude. So we're refreshing the WhatsApp, trying to see Reed respond. And he's not reading it. And I'm like, well, no matter what, like eventually I'll be able to talk to him and tell him this was all a joke. And if he doesn't respond, then, we'll have bigger problems with Reed. But then finally we see you start typing, and then you delete the typing, you stop typing, then you start typing, then you stop typing, then you start typing. And it went on like that for like another 3 or 4 minutes, and so we're all just like dying, dude,
on
building
pins and needles.
On pins and needles, just feeling like, oh, he doesn't know what to say. I'm like, oh, Reed's probably nervous. He probably thinks you're like have some big important thing or whatever. And finally, Adam kind of knew. He's like, man, I hope he's not sending me like a long congratulations thing or whatever. I hope he just says how he's doing. And finally, you responded, and then he was like, okay, perfect. And then he hits you just with the just checking in, and then you said another, and he didn't respond.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll have to check in on Adam at some point then.
Yep. This is an ongoing bit we're going to try and keep doing with Adam, though, where he responds. We've been thinking of funny people for him to check in on, and just say, just checking in, and not that. But glad you could be the first. You're the pilot of this.
The whole time I honestly had a feeling like that this was some sort of bit between. I had a feeling you two were together, and I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, man, is Trey setting me up for something here, or something like that? Like I just had this feeling in the back of my mind that Trey was setting me up, and then it didn't really go anywhere. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe he wasn't setting me up, but you were.
Yeah, no, it went exactly where it needed to go. Just checked in.
Just checking in on me. All right.
Yeah. Adam obviously had a great tournament. With that one, he solidified the IBJJF's recognition of the Grand Slam. So at Worlds this year, he'll be recognized with the Grand Slam trophy and all of that. There's a slight nuance, between how, I guess, we look at it more as the all 4 majors in the same year, right? Like that's how we recognize Mika as winning the Super Grand Slam and everything. But IBJJF specifically looks at it as starting at Worlds from the previous year and then the next 3 ending at Brasileiros, so that they can give the recognition at the World Championship. So just a slight difference there for anybody who's confused about the Grand Slam talk and all that. But Adam's a huge collector. We've talked a lot with Adam now. We went to his house in Poland. He showed us all the stuff he collects, all the shirts, everything, the records. He's big into music, so he has a huge vinyl collection, all that. And this completed the collection for Adam for IBJJF medals. This is all he got, all the medals that he never had before. And so, who knows what he's going to do now? Maybe he's going to start trying getting doubles of the Worlds, doubles of the Brasileiros, even triples. Triples is best. Triples is safe. So
triples is pretty safe. I guess Diego Pato and Gabby Pisania at the Open class are also the IBJJF recognized Grand Slam winners.
Wow.
I think through anybody else, it would be who won Worlds last year and then the 3 majors. So congratulations to all 3 of them. Incredible. Some of the best champions in jiu-jitsu. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, the IBJJF circuit is just kind of humming right now, to be honest. We got so many great people out there putting it on the line and everything. And yeah, just a really great season here of the IBJJF. And then, obviously we have Worlds coming up here at the end of May. So, Worlds is always one of the funnest tournaments of the year. So I'm sure Adam will be contending for another world title, which is...
I get so nervous when I watch him fight, man. Just part of it is just his style. He's so good at escaping that he does end up in a bad position every now and then. But even the finals here against Leo Ferreira, who I think we're all super high on, and who's going to, I think, fight Shanji Hibero at the next BJJ Stars, which is crazy. Leo's such a good up-and-comer, but, that was a very close match, and Leo had some good positions late where he was only down by an advantage if he had been able to make something happen. And I feel like Adam, for as many submissions as he's picked up, there have been so many matches where it's in the balance a little bit, and then he finds a way to do it. And just watching this Cinderella run has been so crazy.
He fought Leo in the finals of Euros, ended in a submission there, right, if I remember correctly. So I feel like Leo was playing a little bit more conservatively this time around. Didn't want to gas out or anything like that, and so kind of made it a much closer match. Adam ended up winning on advantage.
Yep, crazy one.
But yeah, Shout out to Adam Wardzinski. That was a big one.
Let's talk Tynan. Let's talk Tynan and Elijah. That was one of my favorite finals. And Elijah continues to just get like closer and closer and closer. We saw him at BJJ Stars take on Mika, and that match has stirred up conversation and controversy. And then he goes and he takes on Tynan. I don't think it's as controversial with the points involved, but he looks great again. Tynan obviously looks incredible. Wins his third major of the year with all submissions into the finals. And man, what a fun weight class this is turning into.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, Elijah looked incredible, bro.
Yeah, Elijah
looked so good. On the way to the finals were crazy too. He had he was putting on a highlight reel performance.
Yeah, even at BJJ Stars also, so this dude looked incredible at no gi and gi back-to-back weekends. Like, shout out Elijah, bro. I think he's one of the guys I'm highest on right now that I think is going to keep making waves in all these divisions. But yeah, there were some moments in this one where I was like, oh wow, dude, is this his moment, And definitely Tynan afterwards was like, he was pretty bummed. I think he for sure wanted to kind of, like, I think it's no secret that Tynan wants to do the Grand Slam in the way we kind of recognize it in the all the majors in the same year. He's obviously, this is his third one this year, and now Worlds is up next. But I feel like there's part of him that want to do it like with pretty much all submissions as well, at least in the finals and everything. So he was a little disappointed that he didn't end up getting the submission and that Elijah kept it close, but really just a testament to like how good Elijah is and how much of a wave he can make on the scene these days.
100%. I feel like his ADCC run did not get some of the shine that it could have gotten just because it's such a crazy weekend. He ended up coming in fourth. But there's a guy who beat Dante first round. You saw what Dante did that weekend. He was on top of everything, but he beat Dante, and then he beat JT Torres. We all know how good JT is in the next round, two-time ADCC champion. And then he has that crazy match with Mika. A lot of people thought it could have gone either way. Mika picked up the win. I do think it was the right decision. But then, yeah, you see him here in this match, and he's just giving Tynan hell. You know what I mean? He's just giving this guy everything he can handle in some of these positions. He's scrambling really well. Tynan is scoring, but he's not able to hold him down. Even late in the match, Elijah was able to make some really close looks. Like here, this is a great look at this armbar and sit-around triangle, this black hole kind of position.
Dude, I feel like I saw so much of this black hole stuff.
A lot of black hole going on, right?
This weekend. It's like, it is a big part of the meta right now. I feel like everybody is jumping from half guard into these black hole positions.
Trey, what were you thinking when you saw this happen in this late submission attempt from Elijah?
Like, to be honest, Elijah had done a couple of those crazy like flash arm bars up into his run into this final. But like whenever you see him get into this position, but then look over at the clock and it's like less than a minute, it's kind of like, oh man, Tynan is not going to tap for sure. Obviously Elijah could potentially break his arm, but I just thought like, and there was a moment where I was kind of like, holy shit, dude, like it is going to like seriously hurt Tynan potentially if Elijah keeps sinking this in and gets it even deeper. But there is always that part where when it gets to that point in a match and you have someone as high level as Tynan, where it's like he will gut this out by any means necessary and kind of make sure that he doesn't end up getting submitted or tapping before the time runs out, because I think it was 20 seconds, 30 seconds whenever he really got deep into the position and kind of had the submission the most on it was. And so I think at that point it was kind of like, Tynan will find a way to get through this for the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, incredible run there for Tynan for sure. But I agree that Elijah, really showed out. It's like always awesome when you got somebody holding it down in both gi and no gi and are at the top of their game. Like that's just awesome to watch. So shout out to Elijah for getting the silver here, but obviously a big weekend, and Tynan continues his quest for the Grand Slam. He'll be going for Worlds here next month to try to win all four in the same year.
That would be pretty
electric. Crazy. It's whenever you're the person calling in, I'm getting a little taste of what it's like when we have a guest or something. It always sucks whenever you say something, which in my case is usually like super awesome, cool stuff, that I'm sure everyone loves. But then there's like there's like that little lull right after you quit talking because like the audio or whatever's catching up, and then it's like, oh dang, okay, did that fall flat? So I'm trying to overcome it.
No, it's great. You want to just watch that Elijah?
So if you guys could start laughing halfway through whatever I'm saying in anticipation, then I think it would just
just anticipate the end of me talking and kind of give like a big like reaction.
This is one of the best submissions from the whole weekend there. Obviously, this is a great match. Tarek's the man, obviously a killer, but Elijah made quick work of him here.
I was shocked by this. We were talking the night before, Reed, and saying this was like a WNO level match. Like these guys, I wrote an article where this was really included, and then boop, there's the big armbar.
Yeah,
so crazy.
Tarek knew too that he just kind of made a mistake right and just let Elijah pass right away.
Man, Elijah was looking
getting a grip right there too.
Yeah, he's setting it up.
Grip right on the back of the arm.
Yeah, that's a slick.
Elijah's really good at this. Just like jumping submissions off of like guard passes or near guard passes, that's something he does so well. Kind of makes me at least think about my own game, just being like, oh man, dude, I always got to have something in the chamber for like even just a near pass or, even a near sweep or something, where you should just be shooting a submission right off of that. Any sort of kind of like thing that gets your opponent moving or whatever. But I feel like Elijah does that so well.
Super well.
Always great to see Jansen on the mats, a guy who we don't get to see a whole lot of. We saw him last time we saw him was at Worlds?
He's been BJJ Stars and stuff like that, but like in a big tournament.
Right.
This is it.
But awesome to see Jansen out there. How's his star power going in Brazil? Were people excited to see him out there as well? Because he's a little bit more of a deep cut, but it seems like the Brazilians really know him and support him.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Jansen's received like as one of the biggest stars, I would say. Like I would rank the biggest stars at somewhere like Brasileiros as like Mika probably number one. Like dude literally needs security to come in and out of the venue because people just swarm him. Tynan number two because Tynan gets like a similar reception and everything. And then like there's this next tier of like a lot of the athletes like Jansen and some other guys that everywhere they go, people are asking for photos. Like Adam honestly was getting a lot of that. But yeah, the crowd was very excited to see Jansen. I think this is his return to Brasileiros for the first time since 2019. He was an orange belt in 2019, and that's the last time he did Brasileiros due to like visa issues and just like money, all that stuff. So it was one of those moments where like the Brazilian crowd was very stoked to get to see Jansen back on home soil competing in front of them. And dude, Jansen, one of the swaggiest dudes on the mats. Like I was thinking about this a lot afterwards. If you could take anybody's jiu-jitsu and just be like, okay, I have their jiu-jitsu, their presence in competition, all of that, like who would you pick to have? Because for me, I think maybe I would pick Jansen. Like his passing is so cool, so swaggy, but he just has like, I think the Brazilians call it the jinja, that kind of swag like that Pele brought to the Brazilian soccer team, where he didn't play like by the books in the way maybe a football team should, but he just played with his own style in a way that just captivated audiences and made him win games, obviously. I think Jansen does the same thing, dude. He just has like throughout everything, he just has his own style. Like he's a style over everything type of guy. And I just think it's so sick. Like I love watching Jansen compete because of that.
I wanted to point out while you were talking about style, I just noticed this in this back take. Watch how he swings around and then he uses like his foot as an underhook underneath his shin right here.
Yep.
And makes it so that he can't defend from that side. That is so slick. And then you watch him, he's just kind of surfing it for a sec. He gets it and then he swoops it around. Oh man, that's so sick.
Super slick. Shout out Roberto over in the corner, giving some advice in the back of the video. Jansen is.
He has like a. I was just gonna say, like Jansen has like a very much a kid from Rio style passing. Like if you go to some of these gyms in Rio, like people will pass you like how Jansen passes, like with this loose kind of outside passing that's like has a little bit of a dance to it, like that was my experience, at least training in Rio, is just like every single kid was just like stunting on me in this way with outside passing. And it's just, I think it's sick to watch.
Absolutely. Jansen had such a great run last year at Worlds that I'm really
great feedback there, Trey. Just want to say real quick. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
At Worlds, I'm really excited to see Jansen. He's one of the guys that I'm most excited to see, especially after he took double silver last year, right? and in the weight class ended up getting submitted and is bringing it back.
Take
What's
that back
going
a
on?
little bit, Slack.
Yeah,
this was awesome, Slack.
Can we rewind that? This
We
is what
got
I'm talking about
ref
here.
cam.
Can we just like enjoy
Ref
this,
cam for the
this
submission.
camera angle real quick here?
We have the multi angle as well.
This is the mad cam. And then here comes the choke, and here...
What's this ref think about
What does
it?
the ref
The
think?
ref says
He's
over.
checking it
It's
out.
over.
All right.
He's getting his eyes in there. He's like,
God.
Coach seems
You can
super
tell
into
he
it.
was into it.
Oh, that's
He was
funny.
into it. He just didn't want to let everybody know that. But
It's all right. If you're watching the stream at home, you got the multicam experience. So
Yeah, big time.
and obviously, I forget how to say this guy's name there. Veteraci, but he's had a great year too. So
Him and his brother, they both medaled here. Davi and Mateus. Thank God they have their names on the back of their gi because these guys are genuinely very difficult to tell apart. But they have absolutely explosive say again?
they're twins, right?
I think they are twins. They have super explosive takedowns, really, really powerful guys, super pohaded out. Always trying to do the most pohada they can possibly do. And they had some really fun stuff this tournament, both of them. And they both ended up on the podium. Jansen went through Davi here, and I believe beat Mateusz in the finals, or it might be backwards. But he beat one and then the other. Crazy run.
yeah,
All right.
Jansen looked sick the whole time.
Slack, do you want to present Trey with the gift that you and Nikki put together?
Oh, yeah, we have a small gift for Trey, who's been out there holding it down, hanging with Adam, who we see behind me right here. So we're starting to populate the studio with photographs that we're taking, and producer Nikki's been helping us print some of those out. So for today, since we're missing Trey so much, we got this new dish right here. See if we can zoom in on
The
that.
Hokage.
We got Trey and Hokage there. In
With the
Sao
long
Paulo,
hair. Look at that.
Avalanche.
Yep.
So now he's
Yep,
here in
that's
the
an exit
studio with
one.
us, So this is the first one of us to be up on the shelf here. We think it's fitting that it would be
Nice,
Trey,
bro.
the legend. So we're gonna put that right here
Hell yeah.
to
Yeah.
my lefty there.
Let's put it front and center. All right. Let's get it. Maybe let's remove
Put it on
the
the
Let's
table.
have it
TV
this.
from
We'll
the
move it
back
to this
wall.
side.
Put it on the
We'll
table.
say, move over, Adam Warzinski.
Yeah.
Grand Slam.
Yeah, that's a
Never
sick
heard
one.
of it.
Yeah, what's that? So there you go. We got
Yeah,
big Trey
thank you,
up,
boys.
big Trey
I
up on the
appreciate
boards
it.
here.
Got the vlog going in action there, huh? That was a
very
2024
meta, yeah.
Road to Worlds.
Yeah, that was back probably exactly a year ago that I took that photo. Actually,
You've been down in Brazil
Nice.
now for 10 days. You're starting to feel it, starting to feel the travel and everything.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, yeah, for sure a little bit. But like people at the event will be like, oh man, are you tired? You were doing BJJ Stars, all this. My answer is always no, dude. I'm not tired. I don't have time to get tired. And if I was tired, I would never admit it. And I would never let people know that I'm tired. All right. That's a key to success in this business. Never admit when you're tired and just ignore burnout and all the other negative stuff that comes with overworking and just grind until you die, dude. So me, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. I could do 10 more days. I could do 20 more days. You guys name it. If Flo needs me to go somewhere in the world with a camera and make a video, that video is getting made and it's going to be epic and it's going to be coming live straight into your freaking eyeballs and your earballs so that the jiu-jitsu world can consume it. So that's my take. Where you need me to go next, Mr. Reed? You're the manager now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got Worlds coming up. We're gonna need you there for sure.
That'd be cool.
But I don't know. Maybe we go to Japan. Maybe we go Ecuador. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot of places
Dude,
out
Raul Jimenez, bro. He's basically made it mandatory that we go to Ecuador within this next year.
Me and Raul are cool.
So
Me and
Raul,
Raul are cool.
Feels like you're getting out in
he's
front of
losing
something.
This is a buddy of mine from long ago. I've known Raul since Roberto was like 12 years old.
right? Yeah, you're the only one of us who's competed against Roberto multiple times, so that says something.
That is true, yeah.
But Raul was there. He was hyped up. Raul's the only guy who can make Roberto seem calm. That's one of my takeaways with Raul and Roberto. Raul brings so much just chaotic energy, if I'm being honest, like in the best way possible, that it like settles Roberto a little bit. And Raul was telling us like we got to come to Ecuador, and so I told him I would. So I think we're kind of on the hook for that. You know, I would obviously love to go to Ecuador, make a video, the little series with Roberto or something. But Raul was also at Brasileiros. All right, and this is one of my favorite parts of Brasileiros. He was walking around during the black belt days. He had a stack of papers, handwritten, just the longest list of questions you've ever seen, and he was going around and interviewing people. I think he was like translating it into Spanish in live time. He's doing some Spanish journalism work, trying to grow the scene for the Spanish viewers. So I'm glad somebody's holding it down for the Spanish audiences. He wants to work with Flo and do more Spanish stuff for FloGrappling. He said he could be the guy. So I don't know. You might see Raul come into FloGrappling soon. Is the vibe I'm getting.
We're still cool though. Me and Raul. Did he mention like that we're still cool and everything?
Listen, dude, I know the people have come to know and love, or however I incorrectly say that phrase often, me doing little bits with Reed and trying to poke fun at Reed, but I don't want to do too much. Since I'm not there in person, I don't want to hurt you too much, Reed. So I'll just say,
too late, bro. Too late.
You and Raul are super cool still, dude. He thinks you guys are super cool.
All right, perfect.
You're really good at your job.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, he just wants the love. He wants Big Reed in Ecuador with him.
Let's do it. So I'm down for it.
We're gonna make it happen.
Just real quick too, since we didn't have a podcast last week, I did want to mention, BJJ Stars, an incredible event. Looks like so much fun. Super bummed that I didn't get to make it down there, but one of the best events in jiu-jitsu to watch. I think, even just from a live perspective on the stream, just such a fun event. The lights, the production that they bring with everything, and then obviously the matches that they put together. Incredible event. If you guys didn't check that one out, you got the full replay on FloGrappling, so definitely check that one out. It was a fun event. But Mika really is the story of that event. A lot of great matches, but Mika comes out, has 3 great matches, puts a submission on the final against Roberto, who was humming as well. So just a really, really great event, and wanted to give some shine here to Mika since we didn't have a podcast last week.
Big time. And if anybody is looking for, obviously the full fight is out there on YouTube, I think already, but also a great behind the scenes kind of feel and longer video from Trey is out there right now. I think that's an awesome video. One of the best ones we made this year. Is a really fun time seeing everything that was going on at BJJ Stars. So everybody make sure to check that out. And then this is such an awesome bracket, right? One of the best brackets of the year so far. Mika looked awesome up to this point. Roberto looked awesome up to this point. First time they've ever fought, which is kind of crazy considering how, they're both big stars. They're, young, exciting. You feel like they would have fought before, but no, first time. And, man, it ended up being the Mika show one more time, you know what I mean? We're going to have some new rankings coming out, 185 pounds with him pretty soon. Obviously, they're both going to be pretty high. But the scrambles and the action was back and forth. And really, really love this. Roberto's wrestling has really looked better than ever. And I thought it looked really good into this fight and throughout everything up into this. But that submission danger for Mika and that guard danger for Mika and the danger he can create with submission opportunities off of his back without being a leg locker is incredible. Very few people are doing that, right? If you have a dangerous no-gi guard right now, it is a leg lock guard, not Mika. And I think that's particularly interesting.
One of my thoughts on this kind of event, obviously BJJ Stars is outright one of the best events in jiu-jitsu. It's absolutely electric in person. It's great to watch. You always get insanely good matches and everything. It kind of brings its own style to the jiu-jitsu promotion world. But as you were watching this Grand Prix, I felt like we saw 2 very different paths to the final that kind of made this interesting for me. Roberto came out and was being Roberto in his best form kind of since the first match, right? Like he had Isaac. They came out, did an insane match. Yeah, obviously, if we want to talk through the submission real quick, this is nuts from Mika. Like him just
brutal finish.
He refused to let go of this armbar the second time he was able to kind of latch onto it.
Even the first one looked close.
Yeah, it looked super dangerous.
Yeah. And then it was just like, there was no way is Mika allowing him out of that twice. Mika also has obviously one of the most dangerous arm bars in all of the world. For Roberto to last that long in it, dude, I was genuinely concerned with Roberto. I was like, bro, nobody can. You can see me right there walking, filming the crowd. But I was like, nobody can last that long in an armbar with Mika. Like, hopefully he's all right. But he pulled out Brasileiros, but then he was around the event, walking around, seemed fine. So he probably made it through. No cast this time.
Got to see him at Worlds. Roberto has been such a wild man this year. Obviously, we saw that at Pans and the Gi. Got to have him in the pyramid.
Roberto's mom crying. I mean, Mika's mom.
And Trey, maybe you were about to speak to this, but Roberto was, in my opinion, like maybe one of the most exciting parts of this event. Like his run to the final, his match with Isaac. Like it's just he puts on such great matches.
That suplex that he hit on Isaac,
the suplex, and they were just constantly running into the crowd and all of this. I don't know if you wanted to talk more about that, but I thought maybe you were kind of pointing to that. His road to the final was just awesome to watch.
Definitely. Like that is what I was going to say, is just like we saw two very different paths to that final. Roberto came out with Isaac, put on the best match of the night. They ended up getting awarded, fight of the event and all of that. Also, that's a testament to Isaac. I think we saw him recently against Pedro Mourinho, and it like didn't really play out like a lot of fans hoped and stuff. But I think that was kind of Isaac letting people know, like, hey, y'all must have forgot, I'm still one of the most exciting dudes in the game, win or lose. And so he put on a sick one with Roberto. But every match with Roberto was just a high pace, high intensity, just kind of nonstop action. Him and Taza, right, was also sick. But then Mika, on the flip side, we kind of saw a very reserved Mika up until the finals. Like both of his matches leading up to the finals, kind of in a closer fashion than normally we do. He had John Blank and then Elijah Dorsey, which a lot of people are calling controversy on the Elijah match. And, I don't know, think whatever you want to think, I guess. But I do think there's a realistic aspect. And I kind of even asked Mika afterwards in an interview about it, where Mika is incredibly good. All right. And kind of on another level, if I'm just being frank about it, where I think he was clearly saving himself for the final. Him and Melky probably built out a plan and knew it was most likely that Roberto was going to come through the other side, and or even Jonathan Gracie potentially, an incredibly like strong, tough guy to deal with. But he knew he was probably going to end up with an insane match in the finals one way or another. And so I do think he was like pulling back a lot. There's a lot of moments where normally you see Mika jump on stuff and he really wasn't. And then finally he let it all out in the finals to kind of give the fans a show. But you kind of saw two very different paths in that way, which, I think it is interesting to see. That's like the beauty of a Grand Prix or of a bracket, is kind of just like the story leading up to the final and getting that climax, and how's it all going to play out. But I thought that was interesting to watch for sure.
Did you have any Spatan?
No, but our photographer, Dom Boro from Poland, he flew down for this one. He's banned in the U.S. for 5 years due to a visa issue. So he now goes to all the other events for us. But he also has diabetes. Not to air out all of Dom's stuff. I know the Polish guys don't like me talking about their personal stuff on air, because specifically Dom told me not to say certain things if I'm on a show about him. But
go ahead.
Here we are.
Yeah, but I think he ended up drinking like 3 Spatanes because his blood sugar was crashing, and like we had like a room with our stuff. Feppa hooked it up big time. There was catering in the room and everything. I was eating little sandwiches, being a vagabundo, not working hard, just kind of chilling in the back room and stuff. And but Dom is not a vagabundo, not a lazy guy at all. And so he was working hard the whole time, and didn't have time to run all the way back to this back area. And he usually brings like gummy bears to help if his sugar's crashing. And he was like, dude, I didn't know what else to do. So I just grabbed a Spatane and was drinking that to keep my blood sugar level at the right area. So I think he had 3 of them. Uncle Ricky was there too.
Me too, at the next work event. That's also, man, I was crashing.
Yeah, Uncle Ricky was there, Ricardo. A lot of people might know him as the guy who does the matchmaking for Who's Number One. He had a sick setup, dude. This guy went full Playboy, front row, VIP, had the bucket of Spatanes. Feppa was putting out, the red carpet for him. I was like, yo, Feppa, where's all this for me? And he was like, nah, listen, this is why Reed's not here. We know the guy who works hard at FloGrappling, who has to, blow this event up is Big Nasty himself. So no Spatanes for you, just working hard, filming stuff, dropping videos. And I said, sir, yes, sir. Call me freaking Soldier Mika, Soldier Diogo. I'm on the front lines, foot soldiering out here, getting it done. Mm-hmm. So no, I didn't have any spot tanks.
That's Mr. Reed to you. So.
Yeah, Mr. Reed. Yeah, it was sick though, dude. BJJ Stars was an epic event. So it's always great to go down for that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think we need to just make it a regular occurrence going down to Brazil for BJJ Stars. to be honest with you, dude, who's number one Brazil? I'll float this to you guys. I know we've talked about it, but also to the jiu-jitsu world right now. I think who's number one, like kind of co-produced, co-working with FEPA. FEPA can kind of, help set it all up, help run everything. But like a Brazil versus the world, who's number one card, where we have a Brazilian athlete, top athlete in every match on the card. And then we pick, the world's best to go up against them and do a who's number one there. Bro, I think that could be one of the sickest events in jiu-jitsu history. But what do you guys think? Something like that?
No. That would be super, super sick. Of course.
Love it. I hope we get to do it. Yeah, Brazil versus the world, or USA versus Brazil, or something like that. Seems like it'd be hype.
Get that crowd.
Maybe just versus the world. Take a little heat off of us.
Yeah. But we want that atmosphere, that cheering and that booing. We'll get a lot of that for sure.
Oh, dude. They'll know the heels in that one. BJ Stars is rowdy, dude. Like Brasileiros is rowdy too, for sure, but BJ Stars is particularly rowdy. I remember watching like a 12-year-old girl start flipping off one of the competitors one time because it was her dad that was in the match and he lost, and she was letting them have it, dude. It was crazy. So that's the type of energy you can only get.
The next BJ Stars is in July, I believe.
I'm not sure.
I believe somewhere around there. Summertime BJJ Stars, potentially. But yeah, a lot of great stuff going on in the world of jiu-jitsu these days. Brasileiros, of course, you can watch all the matches on Flow if you missed any. Some great matches to go back and check out for sure. Like I said, that black hole meta seems like it's really taken over. So if you're interested in that, definitely watch a lot of these Brasileiros matches. Saw Scooby doing it and a couple other guys. And then BJJ Stars. So big.
Tynan did it himself, I think, at one point.
Yeah, even Tynan was looking for it for sure. So yeah, big week down in Brazil. Trey was holding it down there, bringing you all the coverage, all the great videos and stuff like that. So shout out there, Trey, for holding it down. And we got a lot of great stuff coming up here. Worlds, we are now officially on the road to Worlds here. So we got some big stuff planned for the World Championships here coming up soon. And then we've got a Who's Number One event announced for June 13th, I believe. Tickets are available. So if you haven't, or if you're in the Costa Mesa area, in the Southern California area, definitely make sure you jump on there, grab some tickets. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to have a lot of big names on the card. Those announcements are imminent, coming your way. So a lot of stuff going on here, and then we'll get into the summertime of BJJ, which is also a fun time as well. But plenty of stuff going on here. Any final words here, boys, before we jump out?
Feeling good.
Ready to just gear up for Worlds, man. We got a lot of cool projects kind of coming together, and it happens before you know it. Just the next couple weeks, we'll all be cranking on the next new thing to be watching and consuming and enjoying for grappling. So stoked.
Trey, any parting words for us?
Yeah, dude. Who's Number One coming up? It's a Friday the 13th card, so it's going to be extra spooky. Who knows what's going to happen on that one? That'll be a crazy one. Friday the 13th. Pack your garlic, pack your wooden stakes. Go watch Sinners so that you can prepare yourself for potential beasts and whatnot. But that'll be sick. World's going to be epic. The jiu-jitsu world is humming right now, and FloGrappling is as well. We're not slowing down anytime soon, so it's kind of a great time to be a jiu-jitsu fan, great time to be in the jiu-jitsu world. So, glad to be a part of it.
Sick. All right, well, there you guys go. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all next week. It's going to be a good one.
Puss.